Just 6 days ago on the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit in Kent was the latest action in the Honda British Talent Cup of 2021. And it was that familiar face, number 52, Evan Belford, pulling ahead of first-time pole sitter, the number 34 of James Cook off the line. But what a battle we would see between James Cook, the 13-year-old from Swindon, having now just turned 14 as of Thursday for Wilson Racing, and number 52, Evan Belford, the 14-year-old from Grendon in Warwickshire, on one of the Ryan Saxelby run city lifting machines, the red bike. The battle went on and on and on across the course of the entire distance at the Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, comfortably ahead of the rest of the field. But Belford would come through, having finished second to his teammate Carter Brown on Saturday to win the Sunday race. This is how close it was across the line. Belford leading Johnny Garnes by 40 points coming into Thruxton. Here it comes then, the latest race in the Honda British Talent Cup of 2021. 14 laps, and we have 2 races for the Talent Cup as the Road to MotoGP continues this weekend. James Cook, having finished second just to Evan Belford at Brands Hatch, is 6th on the grid. Look out for Bailey Stewart Campbell here on the Team 151 machine in the middle of row 2. The number 58 is Ollie Walker, the 13-year-old from Highbridge, with the SP125 racing team, backed by Moto Rapido, which is why his livery is almost identical to that of Tommy Bridewell in the British Superbike Championship. Carter Brown, and off at the high-speed village corner for the front runner this year, earlier on today in qualifying, but had already done enough to go 3rd on the grid. Cormac Buchanan combining his British Talent Cup duties with the Red Bull Rookies in 2021, and he's gone 2nd on the grid on his first visit to Thruxton. Quite different from his home nation of New Zealand. But what about the number 7, 16-year-old from County Tyrone in Northern Ireland, on the C&M Motors Limited Tooltech Racing Honda NSF 250. Remember, they're identical bikes. They're all 250cc single-cylinder Hondas. Jamie Lyons on pole position here at Thruxton. It's 3-time British Superbike champion and former 500cc Grand Prix frontrunner Neil Mackenzie with Greg Haynes. Neil, Thruxton, a glorious, glorious venue, the fastest circuit on the whole of the Honda British Talent Cup calendar. And crosswinds this weekend have been quite a problem. They've been actually literally blowing riders off the bikes around the high-speed corners.
Yeah, a few casualties yesterday, Greg. Really windy in all the classes. Even the Superbike guys were complaining about the wind. They were saying it was quite hideous at some point. So these guys with 148 kilogram weight limit, definitely a problem, the gusting winds and the rain. So thankfully it's all dropped today. You can see that windsock's looking a lot more calm compared to yesterday. Absolutely ideal conditions for these guys. And that number 7, Jamie Lyons, one of the few riders that has scored points in every single round so far this year, building a nice championship together here in 2021. And you can see he's totally pumped up there, being on pole position.
6 races down, but a long way still to go. This is only races 7 and 8 of the 18-race season here at Thruxton in Hampshire. It'll all end on the Grand Prix circuit at Donington Park at the start of October. Belford, as you saw, then a 40-point championship lead over his teammate Johnny Garnes. Here's the grid for the 14 laps coming up in about 1 minute from now. Slipstream City, of course, here at Thruxton. Corner speed, absolutely critical. But we do already have issues for Ryan Hitchcock. He's broken his wrist and won't be taking the start, and that was due to those crosswinds, Neil. He was blown off the bike in practice on Friday. Just goes to show with these lighter riders, lighter bikes, it can be a real problem.
Oh, the wind was terrible. Just sitting on the bike yesterday, they were getting blown around, so there inevitably was a few casualties. Nothing that won't heal up, just unfortunate that any of the riders will miss today's race. And the grids, it's a real shake-up this weekend. Jamie Lyons on pole, Cormac Buchanan, one of the bigger riders there, the Kiwi rider, he's in 2nd. Carter Brown, you'd expect him to be in the front row. But Bailey Stewart Campbell, he's in 5th position. Great qualifying for him. James Cook there back in 6th. So a real mix-up, and definitely the smaller, lighter guys, I don't think have any advantage here. It's all about momentum, rolling around all the fast corners we've got here at Thruxton. You'll see that once the race gets going.
Yeah, what an adventure for somebody like Cormac Buchanan, number 24 on the Microlist bike. They're running 4 bikes in the field this year. Keanu Valle's going well as well. He's 10th on the grid. This is the championship leader, the number 52, Evan Belford. Happy birthday, incidentally, to Johnny Garnes, his teammate, who's starting further down in 9th place. He's 13 today, so hopefully a good birthday for Johnny Garnes. Here we go then. Marshall out of the way, 14 laps ahead of us, lights on, lights out, race one of the weekend is underway for the Honda British Talent Cup here at Thruxton in Hampshire. Glorious start from Jamie Lyons, number 7 from his first pole position of the season. Round the outside of the VIP corporate hospitality building at Allard Corner they come, and down to a big stop. It's a very high-speed circuit here at Thruxton, but this is the Campbell Cobb Seagrave complex where there is often trouble on a first lap. Cormac Buchanan goes underneath Jamie Lyons, number 24 from New Zealand, takes the lead, makes it stick. Campbell, Cobb, this is the right-hander of Seagrave, and it's a clean first lap so far. Cormac Buchanan with the advantage. Jamie Lyons is second, and there's Evan Belford, number 52, the championship leader. He's fallen into that second group at the moment in 4th place.
Yeah, seats getting tapped there, riders indicating to riders behind them to follow them, but yeah, I'm not sure that's the case. These guys, Cormac Buchanan, great start for him. He got off the line second. James Cook wasn't, Jamie Lyons wasn't really keen to get tucked in too early, but yeah, he's getting a run down here to Church alongside Buchanan, and you think that's the perfect position as I head through Church, then up the hill. Slipstream, very important.
Oh, this is scary stuff at well over 120 miles an hour, even on these standard NSF 250 Hondas. If you follow BSB in recent years, we used to have the standard class of the Moto Star category. These are the same kinds of bikes, and Carter Brown cuts through. Number 74, Carter Brown, who had a win last time out on the Grand Prix circuit at Brands Hatch. He's had 3 podiums from 6 races so far. He won that Saturday race at Brands Hatch. Is he side by side with Jamie Lyons? He most certainly is. They almost meet in the middle of Allard Corner. Yeah,
Jamie Lyons didn't expect that. It's a bit of a last-minute one, last-second one, that pass into the chicane there for Carter Brown, but certainly worked into the complex in front. And the front end of his bike chattering a lot there. You see hard on the brakes as you turn into that first right-hander, but the front forks chattering quite hard, not slowing him down any though.
Harrison Crosby on the yellow bike, right in the mix. The number 15, he was right up there a couple of rounds ago at Knockhill. He has been on the podium, and it was a 3rd place at Knockhill. A bit out of luck in the other races so far this season, but this is classic Thruxton so far, isn't it, Neil? It's absolute slipstream city, as we said before. Not many big stops. It's all about full throttle for most of this lap, and the result is another classic race in the British Talent Cup. Church Corner here, the fastest corner in the whole of the country. They stream their way up Woodham Hill. Looks flat on the TV, but quite an uphill climb here. And then a big stop for the left, right of the club chicane. Look at them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the leading group. 4 abreast. Cormac Buchanan on the inside. Evan Belford looks at the inside of Jamie Lyons. That's Carter Brown on the right, Evan Belford on the left. Just tucks in behind him. They did well to get round there without contact.
There's a few lines into that corner, and yeah, you can get round the outside and then block your opponent halfway through the chicane. That's exactly what Carter Brown did this time round, but for sure a 6-way battle on our hands now as we head round to the complex, but Cormac Buchanan again got the advantage.
Good start by Johnny Garnes, who's up into 7th place from further back on the grid. So we'll watch out for Johnny Garnes, number 57, on his 13th birthday. There's Carter Brown and Crosby together. They've actually pushed Belford, who is the championship leader. He's leading Garnes by 40 points, so he will lead the championship at the end of the day no matter what happens, and very likely lead it by the end of the weekend unless something really dramatic happens. But he's been pushed back into that gaggle now as Jamie Lyons, who started on pole, was briefly demoted, now leads the race again. So funnily enough, 1 and 2 on the grid are 1 and 2 in the race. I wonder what this is like, Neil, for Cormac Buchanan, coming up from New Zealand. He's a former winner of the Burt Munro Trophy, amongst other things down there. I bet he's never experienced anything quite like Thruxton before. There
is nothing. I've been all around the world and raced on most tracks, and there is nothing like Thruxton, but in a good way. It's absolutely fantastic. It's one of the oldest airfield circuits we've got in the UK, and you can see the nature and the layout of the track hasn't changed at all over the years. It's been resurfaced once or twice. It's got a very abrasive surface. It's reasonably smooth, but it's very grippy. And in these Dunlop tyres, there'll be no issues for the guys in the smaller classes here. In the bigger classes, they do have tyre issues, but all these guys probably on the medium compound Dunlop slicks, and not having trouble at all. Fastest lap so far is to Jamie Lyons at 124.091.
And he's 0.4 of a second in the lead. There goes the Banks Motorsport, easy to spot, Canary, yellow, number 15 of Harrison Crosby underneath Evan Belford. And Belford, I don't know whether a little bit of frustration is going to start creeping in here quite soon, because Ollie Walker's right behind him. The frustration for Belford is that he can see Lyons, Buchanan and Brown, Carter Brown catching Cormac Buchanan, edging away. There they go, the top three. Very handy lead, though, it has to be said, for Jamie Lyons. Great weekend for Jamie so far. Number 7, he's just 16 years old, from County Tyrone in Northern Ireland, and looking like a seasoned campaigner, Neil.
He certainly is. And was that spots of rain on the camera lens there? It's very humid humid outside. Clouds quite high, but I think that spots of rain.
Well spotted. That's the last thing they need. The 2/3 cut-off, bear in mind, is the end of lap 9. At the moment, we're on lap 4, as you can see at the top of the screen. This is Carter Brown going underneath Cormac Buchanan. That Belford running wide in the background as well as they get themselves together. He's gone across the club chicane and rejoins. Now, Stuart Higgs is a very, very experienced race director. He's the series and race director here at PSB, and he will be watching that very carefully indeed, although even I can tell that no advantage was gained there as the championship leader went across the club chicane. He's down to 6th place, a long way back now. Lap 5 of 14 here in the first of 2 Honda British Talent Cup races of the weekend at Thruxton in Hampshire. Evan Belford, championship leader, has just made a mistake, cut the club chicane, and as you can see for yourself, number 52, who's signalling now to James Cook to stay behind me, has dropped down to 6th place, and he's 3 seconds behind leader Jamie Lyons. But more drama, drops of rain starting to fall, and it's coming in. Look, you can see them here on the camera lens around the right-handers of Goodwood and Village Corners coming up to Church.
Yeah, it has got a little bit darker outside there. The rain at this point will have zero effect at all. It'll be drying just as quick as it lands. But Evan Belford, by far his worst result of the season. He's finished every single race, but he's finished every single race on the podium, so he's having a real nightmare this weekend. He's tapping his seat for the guys to follow him, but I'm not sure they're going to take too much notice.
Incidentally, Evan and his dad are working very closely with Mark Woodage, aka Brains, who of course has recently made that high-profile switch in the MotoGP paddock to become Jake Dixon's crew chief, having previously worked with John McPhee. Brains is a good guy to have alongside you though, Neil Mack, when you're helping to prepare the bike, and just that advice and confidence I guess he gives Evan as well.
The best, Greg. He's been around forever. He's worked in pretty much every class, and a decent rider himself, but he's a brilliant mechanic, and yeah, anything Brains said, Mark Rudy says, we've definitely got to listen.
Number 74, Carter Brown, takes the lead on lap 6, diving underneath Jamie Lyons into the complex, pushing so hard there in 3rd place is Cormac Buchanan, absolutely wringing the neck of his Honda to keep up with them. He's had a podium so far, a 3rd place at Knockhill. Carter Brown elbows out. Well, that's talent and bravery by the bucketful, and more spots of rain then on these camera lenses around the quickest part of the circuit.
Fastest lap on that last lap did go to Carter Brown, 123.6, so he's making his way. 3 machines in that team, Carter Brown, Johnny Garnes and Evan Belford on the city lifting by RH Racing Machines, so yeah, doing a great job there at the front. And yeah, for Evan Belford, yeah, championship still rock solid, but he can't let his opposition, and Carter Brown certainly is one of them, grab too many points.
Now, Neil, one thing we have seen all across the season so far, particularly at Knockhill when they made the climb out of the slow hairpin and the very steep uphill climb to the line, is the difference in speed in a straight line between the smaller and the larger riders. Now, there's different ways of looking at it, I suppose. Some people say it's unfair because the lighter riders pull ahead with no effort required, but others may argue that the heavier riders are actually developing their racecraft better, because once those smaller riders are older and heavier, they won't have that lightweight advantage anymore.
It's a very difficult rule to get dead right. It's getting a balance. Yeah, there's a 148 kilo weight limit, maximum minimum weight limit for the rider and bike with his leathers on. So that means you can't run things lighter than that. However, for the little guys, when you put them on a really heavy bike, trying to get it up to that 148 kilos, it makes them difficult to ride. So there's a maximum weight limit for the bikes of 90 kilos. And that balances things out. But yeah, we saw the extremes at Knockhill. Johnny Garnes out the hairpin, where there's a drag race, beating everyone up over the hill, and Cormac Buchanan losing out. But things are much more balanced at a fast-flowing track here like Thruxton.
Oh, Rossi Banham takes some bravery around there. The rider from Valencia, side by side with the number 4, Sullivan Mounsley. Now, Sullivan Mounsley is one of those lighter, smaller riders, and there's the perfect example of that. Up the hill to Woodham Hill, number 4 just pulling away. Great run, though, for the number 21 of Troy Jeffrey from Kelso in Scotland. Up the inside, he comes from Sullivan Mounsley. Great scrap going on here. Number 29, Lucas Brown, the reigning Fab Racing champion in the mix as well, having come through the ranks there on one of the metric hits at Fab Racing, but again being out-dragged by the lighter riders on the straight, out of the club chicane, up to Allard. That's the fight going on for 10th place. In the meantime, 13 seconds up the road here, this is now the fight for the lead, and it's Carter Brown having just been passed again by Jamie Lyons. So Jamie Lyons is number 7, Carter Brown 74, 24 is Cormac Buchanan, the New Zealander. Right behind them then you've got Ollie Walker, who's had a quiet but very solid race so far, on the outside at the moment, number 48, and the yellow machine is Harrison Crosby, number 15. They are 5 seconds ahead of the next group, so surely it's down to these 5, but they could finish in absolutely any order at the moment.
They really could, and that's a great thing about the Moto3 type classes, that if you get a guy in front, he's pushing the air, the guys behind get that slipstream, especially at a section like this out of Church, up Wooden Hill to the final chicane. The guys behind can get sucked into that slipstream, pulled along, whereas the guy in front, he's pushing that air, number 7, Jamie Lyons there. Yeah, he's the one that loses out, and you can see by the time they get to the chicane, Carter Brown is in front.
Carter Brown seems very, very aggressive under brakes, doesn't he? Bit of a dress rehearsal there for what might happen on the last lap of the race. I don't know, Neil, would you want to be in the lead going into the club chicane on the last lap?
Yeah, in the lead, yes, but you don't want to be in the lead coming out of Church, because, you know, especially they've got a gang of 4, and I'd imagine these guys on the pit board, they will be showing them their position, plus that there's a group of 4 chasing them, so it's not like they're position and there's one rider behind them, so they really have to try and be defensive or get the strategy dead right on the last lap.
Jamie Lyons looking over his shoulder there. I was having a good chat with our mate Dave Neal the other day, who's a real expert of the junior categories here at BSB, and he said Jamie is definitely one of, if not the tallest rider in this Honda British Talent Cup, at about 6 foot tall. And you can see it, look, the way he dwarfs the bike, elbows out. Does that give you an advantage in other areas, though?
Elbows out? Well, I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe keeps your opposition away from you. But if you stick your elbows out when you go in the straight line, it's only going to slow you down. Look at this, though. Cormac Buchanan, arguably the biggest rider. He's back to the front, really, and that's not the position for him on the last lap. Number 70 there, 74 Carter Brown, sticking his knees out, as we've seen in previous races, just to slow himself down a bit. But maybe he's confident. Maybe he's confident that he can really get to the front and do it when it counts on that last lap, as he pushes out number 15 Crosby there.
Crosby and Walker now side by side. Who's ahead? It's Walker. I thought it was going to be Crosby, but it's Walker, number 48. So that's sticking out of the knees then, Neil, from number 74 on the red bike there in 3rd place, Carter Brown. It slows him down, but it's just a better way to slow down, is it, without losing momentum? Because if you rolled off the throttle, then you are in trouble, aren't you?
Yeah, if you roll off the throttle, you've got to build that speed back up and get the engine revving again. But when you do that, you're basically spreading your legs, you're causing more drag. You can keep the throttle pinned wide open, just hold you back a little bit. As soon as you pull your knees back in, then you get that burst of power again. So it's it's a rough and ready technique, but it certainly works, but always better than pulling on the brakes or rolling off the throttle.
So he knows he has something in reserve then as we get towards the closing stages. Evan Belford in the meantime, the championship leader, as you can see down the left-hand side of the screen, number 52, is now down to 9th place. He started 8th on the grid. He made up some ground, was in the leading group briefly. Here he is. Looks bumpy there. I don't know whether that was just chatter or some bumps on the circuit. Now, we do know he's lost some decent practice time this weekend. He made a mistake, actually, through the complex during practice on Friday. It was Cobb, the second corner, the left-hander in the complex. Belford lost the front and unfortunately wiped out his teammate, Gianni Garnes, who, funnily enough, is now right behind him here on the track. Here they are, number 52 and number 57. Happy 13th birthday again, incidentally, to Gianni Garnes. But it just shows, doesn't it, depending on the circuit, Neil, and the circumstances, a very different race here with Belford and Garnes, who've been up there in the top 3, certainly top 4 for almost every race so far this year. They're stuck down in 8th and 9th positions here.
Not used to seeing them back there, as with James Cook. James Cook was a front runner at both races at Brands. He's way back down at 8th on that last lap, so unaccustomed to see them back there. But interesting on that last lap, number 24, Cormac Buchanan, made it up Wooden Hill to the final chicane and got through over the start-finish in the front. So it proves that if you can get a big enough gap at Church, then it's pretty much job done.
Buchanan, there's Brown, Jamie Lyons. Belford, as you can see from that graphic on the left-hand side, leading the championship at the moment on 131 points. He'd score 7 if he finishes 9th to move him up to 138 points. We know he's leading the championship at the end of this race, whatever happens. I guess the good news for Belford, and he will know this, is that Garness is very close with him on the track. Garness has now moved ahead of him and up into 7th position.
Whoa, big moment there.
Massive moment there. Who was that, Neil?
That was Carter Brown. Big moment in the middle of Church. He hit in there. He looked like he was just a little bit wide, a little bit of lean angle, got back to the throttle, and the bike bobbled a little bit. It didn't look a lot to us, but I'm sure on board there at 100 miles an hour it was quite scary. So that's maybe just taking the edge off his confidence a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not surprised because he's already had an incident earlier on today in qualifying. Carter Brown, number 74, actually crashed at Village Corner, so just a little bit further up the road. Absolutely together around Allies, and Jamie Lyons was sensible there to back out of it. But look at the advantage he's trying to gain now coming up to the complex. Let's have another look at that then. Church Corner, the fastest corner in the country. That was a moment and a half for Carter Brown, number 74, the 14-year-old.
Actually looks like he lost a bit of rear traction there, but it certainly played into the hands of Cormac Buchanan. That's the biggest gap he's had, and that is a big enough gap to allow him through Church and over the line in front. There's still time yet if these guys work together to get onto the back of Cormac Buchanan, but at the moment that's as big a lead as we've seen so far.
What an opportunity then for the rider from Invercargill in New Zealand. Mac Attack. Well, we've had a Mac Attack already in this race, and he's up at the front of the field now. The next lap is lap 13, the penultimate lap of this race. What a year this is, though, for Cormac Buchanan. Neil, you work very closely, of course, with Peter Clifford and all the guys in the Red Bull MotoGP Rookies Cup. He's doing that this year as well, isn't he? So, so much new experience for Cormac.
Massive commitment, yeah. They've had a bit of a summer break. They're back in action at the Red Bull Ring next weekend, but Cormac Buchanan and the family, total commitment. But look at this, Carter Brown pulled that gap back. He's very tasty, he's very good into the chicane there, so if he could be in that kind of position on the last lap, then he'll be in good shape. But got a shout out to Ollie Walker as well. He's hanging in there, number 48, tagged onto the back of there, and he might just be able to pick up the pieces. Oh, a couple of kids down there. That looks like, is that Bailey Stewart Campbell?
And is that Garness as well, number 57? Johnny Garness, a regular front runner, second in the championship. He's out of the race. This is big, big news for the British Talent Cup on what for them was lap 12 of 14 here at Thruxton.
Yeah, it's Bailey Stewart Campbell in the 151 team, along with the city lifting rider of Johnny Garness.
And they were fighting for 8th place. Belford then moves up ahead of Garness. This is the club chicane at the end of the lap. They've come together in the middle of the chicane by the looks of it.
I'm not sure yet. Not sure if that was one trying to pull a pass on the other, but obviously back down together, but looks like they're okay.
Right, that's big drama then for Johnny Garness. Hopefully himself and Bailey Stewart Campbell are okay. In the meantime, are there going to be yellow flags out, I wonder, when these guys, the leaders, this quintet at the front, get down to the chicane? Yes, we've just had it confirmed. There are yellow flags out at the chicane. So it's going to be one line through here. When they cross the line, we will be on the final lap. So flags are in. It's all green. This is a dress rehearsal for the last lap. 5 abreast. Harrison Crosby, number 15, the yellow bike. Jamie Lyons started on pole, number 7. Carter Brown is 74. Cormac Buchanan, who's led for the last 3 or 4 laps, is down to 3rd.
Harrison Crosby saving the best to last on the bank racing machine.
Here we go then, here we go. Hold on to your seats, 2.3 miles to go, the 14th and final lap of this very, very eventful 7th race of the season in 2021 for the Honda British Talent Cup at Thruxton in Hampshire. Harrison Crosby then tips it into the complex for the last time this afternoon. He is currently 8th in the championship, 1 podium so far. That was a 3rd place at Knock Hill. But watch Cormac Buchanan, watch Carter Brown.
Cormac Buchanan is strong in this part of the racetrack. Very fast through Noble, down to Village. He's very confident, he's got his bike working well. Jamie Lyons in hot pursuit. Cormac Buchanan, he's in quite a good position here, you know, as they head down to Church. Carter Brown, I think, has maybe got it covered because he's exactly where he wants to be.
Well, Cormac Buchanan won every single race in the New Zealand 300 championship apart from one, and even in that one he was only a 10th behind, so he knows all about running closely in a bunched up pack.
He's going to get a nice slipstream here.
He comes out of church 5th, he's up to 4th, he's up to 3rd, they almost touch. Carter Brown is now in the lead. Jamie Lyons, number 7, into 2nd place, starting on pole. This looks good for Carter Brown, dare I say it. Runs a bit wide in the chicane, that's a lovely line though, and he should be okay. Carter Brown, number 74, for the 50. Oh, down goes Harrison Crosby into the barriers. I hope he's okay. Over the line they go. Carter Brown wins at Thruxton. Carter Brown celebrates success. It's his 2nd victory in 3 races and his 2nd of the season. I hope Harrison Crosby's okay. And further back, there's more drama. Off goes Keanu Vaya across the chicane. He's not the only one. There might be some penalties given out for that. There's yellow flags out there as well, Neil.
Troy Jeffries there.
Red flag, red flag. You can see the red lights have been switched on there on the gantry underneath the Thruxton circuit sign. There is the flag from Annabelle Matthews and the LED lighting panel as well. Not the way we wanted to end a race there, with Harrison Crosby having gone off very unusually, actually, coming out of the club chicane. It's quite rare to see that happen. It has happened before, but not very often. In the meantime, what we do know is that Carter Brown, number 74, the 14-year-old from Bridgewater, his dad Vince will be made up with that one, I'm quite sure, and so will Mark Woodage, who works with them. Carter Brown wins for the 2nd time this season to close the gap on the top 2 in the championship. Goodness me, just about time to breathe, not just for us, but for the riders as well. Fastest lap, incidentally, goes to Carter Brown. He's 1:23.664. That sticks him on pole position for the 2nd of the 2 Talent Cup encounters here on Sunday at Thruxton. Remember, that's the rule here. The British Talent Cup racing alongside British Superbikes, where you determine your grid position for the first race from qualifying, but then any remaining race on the weekend, fastest laps from the previous race. Carter Brown wins then. He was a 10th ahead of Jamie Lyons. Cormac Buchanan, number 24, does indeed finish on the podium. That's his 2nd podium and 2nd, 3rd place of the season. I think there's going to be a few disappointed guys in there though, Neil, because they know there was a decent chance for victory. Then again, the good news is, I suppose, they've got another race tomorrow.
That's true. And yeah, Harrison Crosby to the medical centre, so fingers crossed all is okay there.
Ah, Scotty's here, the 2019 British Superbike champion. Good afternoon to Scott Redding, and that is what we wanted to see. Certainly not a crash, but the fact that Harrison Crosby is up and walking away. You can see the leathers have taken a bit of a few scuff marks there. They're a bit worse for wear, aren't they? But is it any wonder? That was a very nasty looking incident there, but at least he's walking away. Probably winded, I would imagine, bit of a limp, but he is mostly okay, and that's very, very good news indeed after that incident coming out of the club chicane. He was literally, what, 3 seconds from the finish line? What a shame for his race result. Now we know he's okay. We can say that is a great, great shame for his race result. What it does mean is that up into the top 5, but some way further back, inheriting a position, is James Cook. A very, very happy Carter Brown here. The 14-year-old has just won for the 2nd time in 2 races in the Honda British Talent Cup. He did the honours for his 3rd podium of the season at Brands Hatch this time last week, and he's done it again. He's certainly a Saturday man, isn't he? From the 4 Saturdays we've had so far this season, he's actually had 3 podiums and 2 wins, so very, very good at getting a setup sorted out. This is Harrison Crosby. Now, let's have a look at this one, Neil Mackenzie, because you know he went off into the barriers coming out of the cliff chicane. Watch the yellow bike in the background. There he goes.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was 4th in that shot. There's a 5-way battle coming into the chicane. Harrison was 4th. Ah, looks like, yeah, he's come out the right-hander there, tried to get on the throttle, just trying to roll it on, gather a bit of momentum, maybe even hopefully grab another place towards the line, and then just land out of traction with maximum angle there.
Well, there was no contact then, but at least he's okay. We've just seen him walking away, so that's the good news. That really was a breathless 14 laps, wasn't it? Just 9/10 of a second covering the top lap 4. Everybody else officially classified a lap down, but that's because the red flag came out. So some of them just got over the finish line, as we saw for ourselves. The rest of them were a sector or so further back, still coming around Church and down towards the Cliff Chicane. Evan Belford, and then in the end scraped 6th place. Hasn't had much decent practice time because of incidents in practice, but we did lose, of course, Johnny Garnes, who is second to Evan Belford in the championship from that race. So Carter Brown now will definitely move up into 2nd place in the championship. He was 6 points behind Johnny Garnes. So a change in the order there. And Carter Brown, today's winner, becomes the biggest threat to Evan Belford moving into Sunday's race. This is Cormac Buchanan. Oh, that wind's coming for the Kiwi. You can just sense it, can't you? Here you are then, the first of 2 races this weekend for the Honda British Talent Cup at Thruxton. Carter Brown comes through to win for the 2nd time in 3 races. Jamie Lyons, a pole and a 2nd, and led for much of the race. Cormac Buchanan on the podium, yet again, 2nd of the season. Ollie Walker 4th, and James Cook jumping up into the top 5 following the crash for Harrison Crosby on the last lap. Evan Belford, championship leader, manages to scrape 6th place. Every point counts. There's 10 of them there. Lucas Brown, the reigning Fab Racing champion, completing the top 10 with the amphibian scaffolding bike with its frog on the side of the livery, if we see that later in the weekend. Harley McCabe, that's the rider working with Michael Laverty in his new Vision Track Academy. He scored points again, another 3 points for Harley McCabe. So inexperienced. Well done, Harley. Ellie Banish as well, the American I noticed there, 19th in the championship. Here then the standings after 7 races with 1 more still to go here at Thruxton. Belford's lead was 40 points over Garnes, as you can see for yourself, 31 now over today's winner, Carter Brown. Garnes down to 3rd, with Jamie Lyons moving up into the championship top 5 from 7th at the start of the day. Ryan Hitchcock 10th there, out of action this weekend with a broken wrist, so get well soon, Ryan. That was a crash caused by the very strong crosswinds here during practice on Friday. And there's the rest of them. Lucas Brown completing the top 20. Could have been higher up, but did have a sizable incident back at Knock Hill.
Well, Carter Brown, P1 then in the Honda British Talent Cup there. The boys in commentary were saying you're very much a Saturday man. Obviously you got the win last week in Brands Hatch. How do you change that into being a weekend man, a Sunday man too?
Yeah, well, last weekend at Brands I sort of struggled a lot in the 2nd race. I think I was behind my teammate Johnny, and I was just pushing a little bit too hard and making too many mistakes, and my pace was quite off. But this weekend, hopefully, I'm not going to repeat that.
You bounce back, of course. You've got another win here today at Thruxton. What do you make of this super fast circuit?
Oh yeah, I love the circuit. It's been hard to learn because there's not really too many reference points, but yeah, it's really fast. I really enjoy it.
Does that stand you in good stead for race 2 tomorrow? Do you think you can get another victory and make yourself a Sunday man?
Yeah, I feel really confident for tomorrow. So hopefully, yeah, I'll do the same again.
Obviously your 2nd win of the season so far.
Yeah.
Which one was better so far? Last week or this one?
I like this one. I think it was a bit more of a difficult race. There was a lot more riders in contention, so yeah, I enjoyed it.
It was a battle for sure. Carter Brown, you came out on
definitely.
top. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Many thanks to Rachel Stringer there, and sure enough, looking at his Sunday results so far, he's had a 5th, he's had a 4th. He did have a 2nd, in fairness to Carter. That was at the opening round of the season on the Sunday back at Alton Park, but he'd very much like a 2nd Sunday podium, I'm sure. Everybody else, of course, now has a race worth of data underneath them, and they're making the most of it. Can Carter do the same to continue to close the gap to Evan Belford? Great to see the current World Superbike rider and, of course, 2019 British Superbike champion Scott Redding, former MotoGP podium finisher here at Thruxton. There he is. And a 6-time BSB champion by the name of Shaky Byrne down there as well. Cormac Buchanan on the right. Jamie Lyons on the left. You can see how tall he is. Look, he's almost as tall as Carter Brown, even though he's 1 step further down on the podium. Carter Brown winning then for the 2nd time this season. Here comes Scotty. Had his first experience of Thruxton, if you remember, 2 years ago when he raced that sole season in BSB. Well done, Cormac Buchanan, the rider from New Zealand, in Invercargill to be precise. That's his 2nd podium of the season. Jamie Lyons, that's his 1st podium. His previous best results were a couple of 7th place finishes at Alton Park and Brands Hatch last time out. So brilliant to see Jamie Lyons 2nd. Misses the win by a 10th and took the pole as well. But it's Carter Brown who wins for the second time in 3 races and his 4th podium from 7 so far, to close the gap to championship leader Evan Belford.
Okay, well done to Carter Brown. Coming up next, the Pirelli National Superstock race. So many reasons to look forward to this one. We'll bring you right up to speed with the championship so far after the break.
This is the story of the 7th race of the season for the 2021 Honda British Talent Cup on the fastest circuit of the campaign, Thruxton in Hampshire in the southwest of England. Drama early on at the club chicane, and one of the fallers there was Bailey Stewart Campbell. The other one was Johnny Garnes, who's right up there in the championship. Second coming into this race. We had a 5-way scrap for the lead though, and what a contest it was. Harrison Crosby on the yellow machine, number 7 in the front of the pack at this point. The pole sitter Jamie Lyons. 74 is Carter Brown, who'd won a race last time out at Brands Hatch. Ollie Walker at the back of the train, and number 24, the rider from New Zealand on the outside. Long-term leader of this race, Cormac Buchanan. It all came to a head coming out of the club chicane when Crosby lost the rear end, so James Cook was up to 5th. Ollie Walker 4. Second for Lyons, just ahead of Buchanan, but second win from the last 3 races for Carter Brown.
Welcome back to Thruxton. Superstock action on the way now. The 4th round of a season that's already produced 4 different winners, the most recent of which was a particularly special one for Alex Olsen.
What a ride for Alex Olsen. FHO Racing win for the first time in the British Superbike paddock. A delighted Alex Olsen crosses the line to take victory.
It wasn't that long ago since we saw you stretch it off in not a good way, really.
No, so Silverstone last year was a bit of a turning point in our career, could have ended it.
I want to say, turning point in your life.
Yeah, it was, for the first half hour was a very touch and go.